All right, today we have a fun episode. We're going to be talking with Conley Turner, who is the owner and founder of Pool Guardian. They build specialized fences around pools to keep kids and pets out of pools. So stick around. You're going to enjoy this episode, and you're going to learn a few things. And so will I, because I am just meeting Conley, so it'll be a good conversation. All right, so before we get started, we got to get our sponsors in. So Chase Group Construction, they take the lead and become your one point of contact for the entire design build process. So if you're looking to build something new, they design it and build it. They built a bunch of different things around the Lafayette area and farther, Acadiana. Fat Pat's and Broussard, Bridge, you might recognize that. They've built that. They build restaurants, popular multi-unit shopping center developments, medical centers, all that good stuff. Their website is chasegroupconstruction.com. And they're on Facebook, Instagram. They make really cool videos. I make videos too, but I wish I was as good as the editing that he and his team can do. So anyway, check them out. They're a great local sponsor. All righty. So, Conley, how is it going?
Fantastic, Ben. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, it's good to meet you too. We were just talking right before we went on, and you said that you're not a Facebook guy, so you don't really know a whole lot about developing in Lafayette outside of what your wife has told you.
Exactly. She follows you. She's on you.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so, and you did preface that you're going to ask me questions as well, so that'll be an interesting turn of events there for Conley Turner. Okay, so Conley, who are you?
I am
a man.
Yeah, I'm just a guy. I'm a husband. Who am I at my core? I'm a husband and a father.
Okay.
I work just like every other guy. I'm from the sprawling metropolis of Bunkie, Louisiana.
Oh my God,
You
Bunkie.
may have heard of it. You may have passed through it going your way to the casino.
Well, I won't. Look. I'll be honest. I'm from Turkey Creek originally.
Really?
Yeah, buddy.
That was my first question. Like, where are you from? I was expecting like New Iberia or Maurice or something.
No, you would think that because I feel like a lot of people think that I grew up here. No, I'm from Turkey Creek. Yeah, so I'm probably in a smaller area than you are.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't think that was.
Yeah. We have a few trees. A caution light, and after I moved, they got a Dollar General. That was cool.
And when did you move?
2010.
2010. Shortly after you moved, they opened an awesome paintball course over there.
Oh yeah, they did. They did.
Yeah, we used to go over there. Like I had already moved. I moved to Lafayette in 2010 as well.
Really?
Yeah, but I would go back home, meet up with some of my buddies, and then we'd run to Turkey Creek. It was called Gobble Gully.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're still open. I hope
no,
they are.
I don't think they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew the owners. Actually, I think the owners at the time, it was the Butlers, and Rhonda Butler. She's like in politics now and all that good stuff with the state. And her husband owned Butler Tree Service.
Yeah.
So they did a lot, but they built that, and it lasted for a few years. But I think there was a storm that I think might have came and like damaged some stuff. So
Right.
yeah, crazy stuff. Okay, so you moved here in 2010 as well.
Yeah, probably for the same reason as you. I went to college at UL for a couple years.
Yeah, I came here for work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so close. A lot of people that listen probably know this already, so I won't bore them too much. But I moved here for graphic design.
Okay.
I was doing graphic design on my own. I had my own little business, and a company here reached out and
That's
said,
sick. How'd you learn to do that? You didn't.
Self-taught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
My dad, he was an artist. Not a proclaimed artist. He just liked to draw. So
Yeah.
I called him an artist.
I can see how that
Yeah.
segues well into,
Yeah.
advertising, social media, all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you do, huh?
Yeah, he and growing up, my dad would make signs for my school, and it was all hand painted signs too.
Really?
So like before vinyl was super popular, I'd see him out in the shed. He had his
Yeah.
own little hand painted sign to show his logo, and he would hand paint all these signs, all the lettering and everything hand painted. And I thought that was so cool to watch.
Nice.
And us kids being young, we'd go bother him, and he would like, look, y'all don't touch anything because the paint's still wet. But I loved watching him paint, and that kind of translated to me. I like to draw. I like to build Legos. I like to do all kind of creative stuff. And this kind of falls in line with that for me. So, but not to talk about me too much. Yeah. So you come from Bunkie.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I don't know how attached to Bunkie you are.
I used to not be, but now that I'm getting older again, I'm feeling it again, that nostalgia for the place. Okay. Whenever I first moved to Lafayette, I was kind of like, oh, Bunkie sucks. It's a small town falling apart. But now it's like I kind of love it again, you know?
Okay. So what's funny is whenever we were growing up, now this is not my words. I say this sensitively. These are not my words, but I've heard this said, that whenever somebody talks about Bunkie or going through Bunkie to get to Paragon or anything like that, or if they found a boyfriend or a girlfriend from Bunkie, and if you didn't live in Bunkie, people would call that person Bunkie trash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Turkey Creek also had bad reputations for things too. So.
I never heard that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. But, okay. So.
Yeah. Went to Bunkie, lived in Bunkie, went to St. Anthony, from, elementary, middle school, Bunkie High, graduated, moved to Lafayette to hit the dorms for UL, said that studying was for nerds. I'm not doing that. I'm way too cool to study. So after a couple years of that, I had to find me a real job. I wasn't in college no more.
Right. So studying was for nerds. So what did you end up studying there, nerd?
I was doing computer science, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that is nerdy.
Dude, I loved it, too. It's just, I didn't try hard enough,
Yeah.
I was 18,
Okay.
I grew up in Bunkie. The first time I ever drove in a big city, I had all my stuff with me, and I was going into Lafayette. And
is that the first?
Yeah, I swear to God.
Oh, my God.
It was like one of the, I'd been on the interstate maybe 5 times. I was sheltered. I was a sheltered guy.
Wow.
I'm a homebody. I don't go,
Okay.
We were, the people, whenever I lived in Bunkie, we hung out in Bunkie. That was just where we were from. I didn't even think.
Yeah.
And then it was just like all my friends were like, I didn't even think about college until like my senior year. And everyone was like, where are you going? I was like, where's the closest place?
Well, Bunkie is, I don't want to say big, but big enough that, because, Bunkie has a McDonald's, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, you got a place to hang out.
I'm not going to talk about the Bunkie McDonald's, brother.
That's
a controversial place right there.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Okay. Now I'm kind of curious. So, growing up, my brothers and my dad, they went into learning karate. And there was a karate studio, whatever you want to call it, dojo, that went from the LeCount Forest Hill area and went into Bunkie. They moved there. And so, I'd ride with my dad and my brothers, to go do the class. I didn't join karate, but they did.
Yeah.
And every time karate would be over with, one of the things that we kids wanted to do, because it was late at night, we wanted to go to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And so that's where we would go. And we loved it. But
really?
But I don't know if there's drama.
No, it's not drama. It's just, okay. I'm spilling it. It's called The Tea. I'm spilling the tea.
Oh, this is the tea podcast. Oh, my God.
I swear to God,
this is actual tea. Good Lord.
I haven't been there in a decade, so this may not be true anymore.
Okay.
Dude, it used to be, you go order a drink, and they'll be like, can you pull up?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Look, that's funny because they do that at McDonald's here. Wendy's is bad for it. Look, if you work at Wendy's in Karen Crow, God, y'all need to get y'all's act together.
Yeah.
Y'all, I know y'all trying to save time on y'all's little digital clock whenever people pull up.
Oh, they'll tell you that, too. They'll be like, hey, can you back up and pull forward again?
Oh, yeah. Taco Bell will do that.
Yeah.
But, that's everywhere. So it's not just unique to Bunkie. It's everywhere. It's bad.
Good.
Okay, yeah. So that's not too bad. That's soft tea. That's light tea. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. So a little bit more about you. You come from Bunkie. You come to do computer science at UL.
Right. Never
finished?
I took a couple semesters of it.
Yeah.
dropped out, got a regular job in Lafayette.
Okay. What's a regular job?
I was working at Webco Coating on Butcher Switch on the north side.
So you were doing computer stuff?
No. Coating.
Oh,
like
coating.
C-O-A-T.
Oh,
like paint.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just the way that it rolled off your tongue. It sounded like Webco Coding.
No.
I was like, oh, he worked in website coding.
No.
Cool.
I don't know anything about it anymore, dude. I'm now the worst guy there is with computers.
That's funny.
I've forgotten more than I ever learned.
Well, yeah, you're not on Facebook, so I
Yeah.
figured you're not a computer guy, right?
But so like okay, so whenever I moved to Lafayette, that was like my first experience in the big city. And I remember it being so big to me back then.
Yeah.
Like even the campus. And it's like, so since then I lived in Lafayette, I lived at the dorms, and then I lived at the Edge apartments.
Yeah, those
on
are fancy.
Landry.
Yeah.
Those were nice. I loved it over there. I stayed there for 2 years. Dropped out, got a job, moved in with my buddy and his mom in Karen Crow
Okay.
while I was working. Saved up some money, and then got a trailer in Scott. So I've kind of lived all over the place in the
You got a
parish now.
trailer in Scott.
I had a trailer in Scott, and then
not in Potpourri, huh? Okay.
No.
All right.
and so that's where I actually met my wife. Now,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm starting. So at this time, this was in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm kind of feeling like this is my area. This is where I'm gonna stay.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like now I'll go back. I remember one time we had went to Girard Park a few years ago. And it was like on a holiday, so there was nobody there. I was like, I had my dog with me, so we went for a walk, and I was like, I'm gonna go check out the campus. And I kind of like walked around, and like it was very surreal to me because the size of Lafayette and the scope of it, it's like it went from like this is all I know, and I'm slowly growing my bubble of knowledge of the Lafayette area. To where now it's just like a little blip. I know the area well now. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you get to. Once you know a place, that's whenever it can feel more like home.
Yeah.
You know?
Once you explore the back roads, and once you get off of Ambassador, because people that are not from here, the first thing they think about is like, oh, I need to get on Ambassador to get in Lafayette. Like growing up, whenever we would take our big trips to Lafayette, Lafayette was a big trip. Now Baton Rouge was a big trip.
Yeah.
And then New Orleans was like, whoa, we're in a real big city.
Yeah.
So, I remember being a kid coming to Lafayette for a very specific reason, and it wasn't to explore the city. It was my mom and dad wanted to eat Olive Garden for dinner or lunch. Usually it was for dinner.
Yeah, y'all would put on y'all's, best Sunday attire.
Yeah, we'd put on our Sunday attire,
Yeah.
and we'd make our way to Lafayette usually on a Saturday. It wasn't a Sunday, believe it or not, because we went to church in Turkey Creek.
Yeah.
But on a Saturday night, we'd go to Lafayette. We'd go to the Olive Garden. And my mom and dad, of course, we were kids, so they'd treat us, and we loved it. And then right after that, we'd go to, the next best thing was Best Buy.
Yeah.
And that was Lafayette to me. Lafayette, to me, was Olive Garden and Best Buy, and that's it.
Yeah, whenever I was a young kid, like my dad and one of my uncles would like I have like a group of cousins that are real similar age to me, and mostly boys. We would go to like UL basketball games and stuff, but that was really it. We never really came to explore Lafayette and stuff. And so before I actually moved here a little while, me and my cousin Shelby, we loaded up in my mom's car, and we were like, dude, let's go to a UL football game.
Okay, you're about to hit it big for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. So this was before we had smartphones. I had like a BlackBerry or something, no GPS to tell me exactly where to go.
Most people, yep.
Got to Cajun Field, watched the game. It was fun. All right, time to head home. I did not remember that I got off of I-49 and onto I-10. And so I took the wrong way home all the way. I did not realize I was going the wrong way until I was on the Basin Bridge.
No.
I swear to God, dude, I took like nice little hour extra detour. You just go
and once you're on the Basin Bridge, exit. I mean, you only got maybe one exit.
Yeah, Lobdell's like the next one you can turn around at.
There is like that boat launch you can turn like there, but if you pass that up, that's it. You got to go to the Lobdell and turn around.
I was done, dude. It was it was crazy.
Or there might be another one where the Tiger stop is, or whatever that's called, right before you get into Lobdell. But that's rough.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said in 2015? If I'm recalling what you said, that's about when you met your wife.
Yeah, that's exactly when. So whenever I bought that trailer in Scott, she was living in the trailer next door to me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So So she was by herself? She was just renting a trailer?
She was renting a trailer with her sister-in-law and her son. So I have a stepson.
Okay.
He was 3 at the time that we met. Yeah.
Okay.
And we met, fell in love.
So wait,
And
so
then-
y'all met what? Let me guess. You were just mowing the yard and
Walking my dog.
Oh, walking your dog?
Little
Okay.
Brendan, shout out Brendan. He came down and was like, "Hey, can I pet your dog?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, what's up?" And then, she
Okay.
came down and started talking to me, and we
Okay.
hit it off.
Be real for me. Like, did you know that she was living next door before you walked your dog?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Whenever I moved in, I was like,
Okay.
I got to talk to her.
Okay. look, let me tell you, you used that poor dog as bait.
Yeah.
He said, "Look, I gotta figure out how to talk to these people. Let me go walk my dog."
Yep.
And like, oh, you want to pet the dog?
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, dude.
Okay.
So shortly after that, she moved in with me, and
Well,
we
you're
became a
just
family.
jumping straight to the move in. Okay, so I
We
gotta
know that's how it happened in real life.
Okay,
Like there was not a long time
like,
in
oh,
between
hey,
the two.
you're my. So that was her son. Mm-hmm. Okay, that
Brandon.
pet your dog, Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes from you walking your dog to her son coming to pet your dog, and all of a sudden you're moved in.
Couple dates later. it's
Good
like, hey,
Lord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was 22,
Yeah.
and she's 10 months younger than me, and we're adults. We know what we want. We weren't,
Yeah.
It was family time. It's time to start a family. Brother.
Okay. All right.
That's what it's
Wow.
about.
God.
That's my introduction. I am a husband and a father. That's what I've always wanted to be. That's who I am.
Okay.
That's the core of me.
All right. Well, man, I feel like we can dive a whole lot deeper into the core of you there. I don't want to go too far because I want to keep this about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
But I do know that we want to talk about your company and why you started it. There's a very specific reason, I'm sure, why you started it. And I'm only using my little context clues that I learned in high school. I'm assuming there's a reason, and I want to touch on that. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and get my next sponsor in, and then we will get into Pool Guardian and how Conley and his wife Paige started the company, and go from there and see what all that is about. So you guys have heard me talk about them before, but I will continue to talk about them forever into the future as long as they are a supporter of ours. It is the Music Academy of Acadiana. Basically, look, short and sweet, they are the music academy to check out in Lafayette. Like, if you want to learn music, or if your kid is interested in learning music, check them out. They're located right next to Sam's Club off of Ambassador. The whole thing between Sam's and Walmart. That's not their commercial. That's AVI, but they're right there between Sam's and Walmart on Ambassador. They teach all kinds of instruments from piano, guitar, drums, violin, saxophone, flute. They even help you improve your voice. They even teach audio production. So if you're a behind the scenes type of person that, you like music, you like the way music sounds, you want to help improve music, you want to help record music, but you don't want to be the music, you can be the music behind the scenes, I guess. And they have a ton of experienced staff members, instructors. They've even sent students to college and major music competitions like American Idol and The Voice. Really great school, nationally recognized. Their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. Their website is musicacademyacadiana.com. Check them out. You will be glad you did. All right. So, Conley, let's talk about Pool Guardian. So, if you guys that are listening are curious, you can go to the Pool Guardian website live as we talk about it, or if you're listening after the fact, the Pool Guardian website is in there. It's poolguardianla.com. So I'm looking at the Pool Guardian website, and the first thing that calls out to me is the logo. The logo has a halo on it.
Right.
So, and you are a fence company for pools, a specialized fence company for pools. Obviously, the halo tells me that there's an angel involved or something to that effect. So tell me a little bit about how Pool Guardian started.
So the best way to go about the origin story, I'm going to zoom through a few things, but we are on track for it. So Paige moves in with me in 2015. In 2017, we have our first son together, Conley Jr.
2017, okay.
Yes. 2018, we get married. 2019, we buy a house in Youngsville, in a little subdivision. So a little while after that, I quit my job and I started doing woodworking full time, just building like wooden furniture for people and stuff. At this time, I'm renting a shop, have a house, and we got the family. So we find a house.
This is 2019.
This is 2019 into 2020.
Got it.
And then in 2021, we moved out from there, got rid of the shop, and moved into a new house. Okay. And so now we're in the new house. I'm doing woodworking, all that stuff. And then, in early 2022, find out Paige is pregnant again. We're about to have another kid.
A third.
Yes.
So you have a stepson. You have
Lil Conley,
your firstborn, and you're about
Luke
to have...
is on the way.
Oh, wow.
In 2022.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Okay.
Moving quick.
Yep. And then tragedy struck. On Mother's Day of 2022, we lost Conley to a drowning.
Conley.
Little Conley.
So your
he
first?
Was 4 years old, yeah.
So Conley Jr.?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was a Mother's Day party. It happened, and we can go into some detail. I don't want to depress anybody, but this is pertinent to Pool Guardian.
Yeah.
It was Mother's Day. We had a big party. Everything was winding down. I'm thinking Conley's upstairs taking a nap. Go up. He's not there. We get frantic. We start looking everywhere. We call the cops to see if maybe he had climbed into a car and ridden off with somebody. And whenever the cops are there, he's in the pool. He's in the pool. I jump in. Sure enough, he's in there. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys are at a Mother's Day party. Mm-hmm. You have a pool. Obviously, most pools in general are open. There's no...
So, like, insurance companies will be like, well, does the pool have a fence around it? They're talking about a fence around the backyard.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what insurance
to
companies
keep liability from outside of your home.
Correct.
Getting... Yeah. So the party's happening. What happened, or like what transpired from you going to check up on Conley Jr. in his room, you assuming that he's taking a nap? Did he wake up and just meander down?
That's the crux. I don't know how it happened. And so there's this thing that I've learned since, and I tell this to everybody, because even if you have a pool fence, it's like, if you have a pool and you have people over, there needs to be one designated person watching the pool at all times. Because if everybody's watching it, then everybody thinks everybody else is watching it. Right. If that makes any sense. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know how it happened. It happened. And, it went from, having a great day to just like that, a day that I'll never forget. I remember every little detail about that.
Oh, I'm sure. Look,
and
I'm sure.
So it goes on. We're in the hospital. They try to save him. They can't. All the stuff's going through my head of, you don't even know how you don't even know how tomorrow can be real.
Right.
Like everything has changed. It changes everything about you instantly.
So
it's every negative emotion. Plus, there was confusion. I was confused. I distinctly remember that. Wondering why, I understood full well what was going on around me, but I was deeply confused while it was all going down.
Yeah, I mean, I would be too.
Yeah.
Obviously you just said that you're not really sure how it all happened. Obviously stuff like this happens fast. How many people were at the party, roughly?
A few dozen.
Okay.
It was Paige's from around here, so it was like Paige's family.
Yeah.
It was like we're celebrating her grandma, her mom, the aunts, and all that stuff. It was, I believe, after, because nobody was there whenever. There was only a couple people left. Like Paige, her brother, her little brother was there, and then all that. But moving on, So after all this happens, we're in the hospital, and I remember, I just want to talk about this because this is going to go. So I remember there was this lady came up to me. She's like, hey, I forget her name. She was a sweet lady, a nurse. She was like, hey, I'm actually a representative with the Rescyou Group. Our founder's going to come and see you. She wants to talk to you.
So this is why you guys are in the hospital room?
Yes. And Conley's,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So, and I remember I'm like, there's nobody on earth I want to talk to right now. Do not send anybody to me. I don't, you know, I'm furious. I'm mad. I'm sad. I'm confused.
Every emotion under the sun, yeah.
Yes. And so that's whenever Rescyou walked in, Rescyou Gilmore. And she goes, hi, I'm Rescyou with the Rescyou Group. And I just went to brush right past her. I'm not trying to talk. And then I remember she pulled me, gave me a hug, and she was like, I lost my son to a drowning when he was 3. And I remember I immediately felt bad for her, too. And it was a weird feeling because it's like, oh, no, somebody else has felt this, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And so all this goes down. The Rescyou Group helps us with planning the funeral. Reese's an angel. Mm-hmm. That woman's a wonderful person. So all that goes down and all this. I'm still doing woodworking. Me and Paige, we take like a week off of work and then get back to it. And it's that was whenever I started to fall apart. Mm-hmm. You know, that was whenever, you know, you got the big hit. It's losing a child is just like, it's the exact same on the other side of the spectrum of having one. I remember whenever Conley was born, it was my first kid. I'm expecting the first time I see him for there to be fireworks, and it's just like this big magical moment. But what I found is it wasn't that. But for all 4 years that I had him, and now with my other kids, it's like every time I look at them, it's like the first time seeing them all over again. You know, it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Losing them is just the exact same, you know. And you have a kid, right? You think about him a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
That doesn't go away either. So, you know, Luke's still unborn, deeply depressed for a few days after that. And that's whenever I say, like, the core of who I am a husband and a father. The thing that kept me on a path of non-self-destruction. I've had rough moments, but I knew that I had to be a man for my wife and my stepson, you know, because they're hurting just like me.
Yeah.
I can't give up and them see the leader of the family give up in front of them. That's not an option. Sometimes you gotta figure out who you are, you know, and I'm not a coward, you know. You gotta face it. And so still doing woodworking, it was not going good. You know, I was alone, trying to build stuff. I was falling apart every day.
Yeah.
And so August 22nd, 2022, Luke arrives. And that was another whirlwind of emotions that I didn't fully expect because it was all the elation of having another child coupled with the feeling of failure, you know, that had just happened 3 short months ago.
Yeah.
So it was...
so it was 3 months prior.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so at that point, I'd realized, like, dude, I can't work from home. I can't be self-employed anymore. I gotta be around other people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so that's whenever I went and got a regular job. I knew some people around. I'm in Youngsville now. I knew a couple people. I knew some guys that worked at a shop a mile and a half from my house. I went to talk to them. They hired me on the spot. And did that. Once Luke was born, we pretty much knew that we wanted another one too. We didn't want to, you know,
you wanted 3 kids roughly.
I wanted 3. We've always wanted 3 kids anyway, but also we didn't want to go back to Brendan and a toddler. We had already done that with Conley, and it was we wanted. So in 2020, so I got my job in October of 2022. Paige gets pregnant again in January of 23, and that was for Matthew, my 3rd son.
Okay.
Who's 1 now. And so as time went on in 2023, we were, you know, the wounds are never healed. They're just open all the time. And we, you know, Rescyou lost her son the exact same way. We also had met Heather and Adam Broussard. They do Maisie's Mission, They lost a 17-month-old girl to the same thing, and now they have Maisie's mission. So we're looking at like everybody who's been through this. They seem like they're trying to do something to stop it, or you know.
Yeah.
And so that's whenever we came up with an idea. We're like, what are we gonna do? We got to do something to not rectify, but to just stop it. You know.
And you're talking specifically about drownings.
Drownings, yes. It's the most common cause of death for children 5 and under, I think is the stat. It's, yeah. And I would say this, Louisiana is actually in first place for that.
Louisiana's in first place and last place. I feel like all
For
the
the
time.
worst things.
I know.
And that's not talking about, I love Louisiana.
Oh, me
I love
too.
Acadiana.
I love Louisiana, but yeah, you're right. We have some of the best food. We have some of the worst education.
Yeah.
We have some, just...
We have the most beautiful culture.
Yeah.
And some of the worst crime.
I know. It's so wild.
Yeah, it's a dichotomy. So, to rewind a little bit, before Luke was born, I remember around July, I had found this company that makes pool fences. So we had ordered the stuff to do it, and I went, watching videos, figuring everything out, got the tools and stuff to do it, and I put up a fence around my pool, a mesh pool fence.
Okay, mesh.
And that was a wild day, because this was 2 months after losing Conley. Yeah. The pool I covered it, and it was just...
So you set up this fence that you bought, or this covering, before Luke.
Correct.
Before
Luke.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then now you have Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm trying to...
And so basically we were saying, like, what are we going to do? We got to do something. We can't do another charity or another awareness thing, because that's already been done. We got to do something different. And so that's whenever Paige was like, hey, the pool fence that we put around our pool, we can do that for other people. And it's about filling a gap. Because if somebody would have came to us and been like, hey, I see you got kids, you got a pool that's not fenced around.
Yeah.
We can do it for this price point, and I can have it up next weekend.
Yeah, and gave you stats and everything about child death. And
we'd have done it right away.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we can do that for other people now. That's what the whole mission is. This isn't, some cutesy brand I'm trying to sell. I'm trying to do something so that somebody doesn't have a day like me.
Yeah. So the company Pool Guardian is a for-profit company.
It is.
Yes.
But it
has a mission behind it.
For a good mission.
Yes.
It's not Walmart.
Right.
It's for profit to help us pay.
Oh no, I get it. Yeah,
other stuff.
No, I get it.
But the mission is number one. The mission is always number one. There's nothing on earth that'll ever matter more to me than trying to help somebody save a child. And so I do this mostly on weekends. I have an agreement with my boss right now to where I can take off whenever to get stuff done during the week if something's imminent. And whenever I'm doing it, I'm trying to think of how to put this. I'm not trying to sell something to anybody ever. If you don't need it, you don't. But if you do, let's put it like you can come to me and I'll get it done.
No, look, you don't have to plead your case for being a for-profit company. I think that's totally fine. There's no vilifying there. Some people, whenever, like, when you go through a tragedy, like you said, a lot of people tend to want to start another nonprofit.
Right.
And there's not a reason to do that necessarily, because the nonprofit that helped you, Rescyou Group, is already established there in the event of something like this.
Right. And also with nonprofits, I find personally they'll have a focus, but the lens is a lot wider than ours. Ours is a very specific lens that we're looking through.
Yeah. Keeping kids out of pools
physically.
Yeah.
We're not spreading. We are spreading awareness by existing.
Yeah.
Because there was nobody to call before us that we knew of, at least. They got there's companies out there that do it, but it's like...
Yeah, but the mission behind their company is different than what you guys... So you guys have a purpose to want to, offer these fences to people with kids because it's a real need. And it's almost like insurance.
It is. It's
you know, but you don't pay monthly for this, and I guess
No.
unless you offer financing. I don't know.
we
what that
do.
looks like.
We offer
They can-
financing, but we don't. The prices aren't spiked.
Yeah.
I have not had to use the financing option yet.
Okay.
Everybody just pays me up front. It's done. I can go in there and knock it out in a day.
Nice.
You know, and so what I tell people is, it's like everybody's always like, well, how easy is it to remove? And it's like, it is easy to remove. You can put it up and take it down at your leisure. It takes almost no time to do. Whenever I'm going in, I'll tell people, like, look, you're worried about child safety. The fence is there for child safety. I'm there to make it look nice too. I try to make, whatever I do, I'm going to do it well. And so that's what I do. I put up nice pool fences around nice pools that protects your children from that pool.
Yeah. So I want to go back a little bit to when you asked me if I had a kid, and I do. I have a 8-year-old boy, but he's actually my rainbow kid.
Really?
Yeah. So I've said this story before, but since you don't really follow the page or you're not a Facebook guy, I've said this many times, and I promote a particular nonprofit that Rescyou came from, Maddie's Footprints.
Okay.
So I'm on the board for Maddie's Footprints, and Maddie's Footprints was created for families who lose children that are from 1 year old to infancy or in the womb.
Yeah.
So like from miscarriages, stillbirths, all the way up to 1 year old. What they do, very similar situation not in the pool side of it, but losing a kid. So we were expecting our first child in 2015. And I think the due date was like September something. And so in May of 2015, it was a Wednesday night. I was at church. I don't want to go too far into the story because I will probably break down, and I don't want to do that. It's been 9 years since this particular thing. But so one day I was leaving church, and I said, I want to listen to the heartbeat. We had a little heartbeat monitor, and came home. It was a pretty routine thing that we would do, and I'd put the heartbeat on her. And there was that night. I don't know what particular night it was specifically, but actually I do, because I have a date of death on the death certificate, so I do know what day it was. But try not to go too deep into it. So came home that Wednesday, used a fetal Doppler, a little cheap fetal
I know
Doppler.
what you mean.
Yeah, and I would like to listen to the heartbeat. That night, I came home. I don't know why I wanted to. Like, something told me I want to listen to the heartbeat tonight.
Yeah.
And it wasn't every night that I would do it. So we went to go do it and couldn't find the heartbeat. But we were like, okay, maybe our fetal Doppler is just weak.
Right.
We'll go. We called the labor and delivery at LGMC before it was auctioner, and they took us in right away. They said, yeah, just come up to labor and delivery. We'll put a fetal Doppler that we have on there. And so they did that. They couldn't find it either, but they said, look, it happens sometimes. We're going to take the big boy out. They had to turn it on, the ultrasound machine. And so it took about 15 minutes for this sucker to warm up.
Right.
Okay. I was like, good grief. It's like, does it have a crank on it? Anyway, so this sucker warms up, right? And my wife and I are, we're worried, but like we're hopeful. So she's laying on this like little bed, like not even a hospital bed. It's just like a little thing where you can sit on outside of a room. And so they had the ultrasound machine on. They started looking, and on the screen I could see, and I was getting pretty familiar at that time about how the images looked and where the baby's appendages were and like different vital organs. And so they hovered over where the heart was, and there was no movement. And whenever they hovered over it, I could see the nurses look at each other, and dude, broke down hard.
Right.
And my wife was still in disbelief.
Yeah.
She was like, so what's happening? I'm over there. I already know what happened. And dude, and that night we had to get induced. We had to deliver a sleeping baby. That's hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That was, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That confusion that hits. It's real. Yeah, I remember that too. I remember a lot of, in the hospital room when they're trying to revive him, I'm looking around. Like I said, we didn't know where he was. and so the cops had we had our neighbors checking cameras, see if he might have climbed into a car or something, you know.
Yeah.
And so that was, I remember the ambulance came and they were trying to resuscitate him, and they picked him up, took him to the back into the back of the ambulance. So I hopped in the passenger seat, and that driver was pale as a ghost, and he was not looking at me. He was just staring at. I was like, "Be honest," and he was like, "It's not looking good, bro." And I was like, "Damn." Then they took us to, oh man, I think Women's and Children's, across the street from Lord's. Yeah. And in there, I could see everything going on. So whenever it had happened, I'm going to share the second worst part of that day with you. I remember whenever it happened, I had jumped in the pool. I had dove into the pool, and I grabbed him, and I pulled him out. So I was wet head to toe, nothing in my pockets, nothing. I had to borrow a nurse's cell phone and call my mom. And that tore my heart out of my chest. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I'm right there with you. Having to make that call to the grandparents is hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Told you this would be a fun one.
Look. Every podcast I do is fun.
I know.
This is a good conversation, and I think it's good for people to hear, because there might be someone listening that has a new family, have children that, at 4 years old, these kids run around like they have no clue where they're going. They're just running aimlessly.
And they are, they are fully cognizant.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, I remember squatting down and like holding kind of like, hey, do not go by the pool. Mm-hmm. You will drown and daddy won't make it. Yeah, I've used those words with him. He knew, but somehow he ended up it happened. I don't know how.
And you guys didn't have cameras or anything like that on the backyard? And if you did, you probably wouldn't want to look at it.
No. Yeah. At some point, you got to realize the how means nothing.
Yeah.
That's something I rest. And so, back to who am I? I'm a husband and a father. That was a real thing that I had to contend with. Is like, I always say I measure a man by who he is as a husband and father. That's what makes a man a man.
Oh yeah. Not his job.
Correct.
Yeah.
Women are born with the sacred gift of giving birth to every human. There's nothing more special on earth to anybody than their own mother.
Right.
Men have to forge that. We have to make ourselves a husband and father.
Look, yeah, you're right. We have to prove ourselves. That's like,
and so losing a kid while that's all you are, it's like, who am I?
I know you probably, like you said, you probably felt like the biggest failure on the planet at that moment.
100%. Yeah. But also content. And so, Paige is pregnant. Luckily there's things that I can still focus on. I still have a family, Yeah. And so I like to say it, kind of tongue in cheek, but also 100% true, is Luke was our light in the tunnel and Matthew helped complete the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, so we're back on,
Look, and like I said, I feel the same way. And you mentioned having Luke 3 months after you lost Conley, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So we lost our little boy. His name was Bentley at 22 weeks old. Mm-hmm. And after that moment, Kelly, my wife and I, we were like, we don't want to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to go through this at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, and as crazy as it seems,
I know exactly where you're coming from. Is it worth the pain to try again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we wanted a family, like you said. We wanted to start a family, and I wanted 3 kids. I wanted about 3 kids. My wife, she'd probably tell you she was only wanting 3 kids because I wanted 3 kids. She probably would have been okay with just 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But I wanted 3, and she was pretty much on board. But after we lost Bentley, we not long after that got pregnant again, which is wild because we didn't want to we didn't want to get pregnant, but we didn't want to stop. It was weird.
Yeah.
It's like a weird area in life because we were at that age where we needed to start the family, and if we waited too long, it'd be weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had our little rainbow baby in 2016. He was born August 2016. So yeah, not even a year after we lost Bentley, we got my wife got pregnant for our current child.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so it's weird today. And there's a particular thing that is said. I know with Maddie's Footprints, it's been said, and this might have come from Rescyou. Your pain and your grief doesn't shrink. It doesn't get smaller as life goes on. What happens is life grows around it.
Yeah.
So that pain and everything is still the same size in your life. It still hurts, but life grows around it. And so like it comes from that saying like, oh, life heals all wounds. That wound is still there.
Yeah.
It just grows around it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it just comes down to like you got to figure out who you are. You can't let anything beat you like that. It's the worst thing that can ever happen. No, and you'll have people. Everything happens for a reason. God has a plan. No, that doesn't happen for a reason. There's nothing good that can come out the death of a child.
Let me tell you on that note. Okay, so family that has never been through a scenario like that, wants to be there for you.
Yeah,
they want so bad to
have something to
understand,
say.
And they want to say something. But let me tell you, there is nothing you can say because you just don't know.
And the thing is, I remember telling people, it's like, so one of them, they'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry too. And then they'd be like, I can't even imagine. It's like, yeah, you can. You actually can. Because, you can think about your mom dying for a few seconds, bring yourself to the edge of tears, and then you get to turn the faucet off.
Yep.
And then it's like, no, she's still here. I still, everything's fine. This, it's like, you can imagine it. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
You don't get to turn that faucet off anymore.
Yeah. It's it was always a weird thing to hear people come up to you and saying everything happens for a reason. And I am a guy, and I believe that.
Yeah.
I do believe everything happens for a reason. But in that moment, and that time of grief, and even years after, it's hard to say that happened for a reason.
It's a dangerous thought path to go down because you can't, if you're saying everything happens for a reason, guess what? That's a path towards spite towards God. God wanted my son dead. You can't think like that. No, I don't think that's the truth. I think what happened, and it's a tragedy no matter what way you paint it. And you can say, well, some good came out of it because now you have the Rescyou Group, and I'm not part of it, but I know these people, I love these people, and I try to support them. And you're doing the program. But like, I could have done that anyway.
Yeah.
I could, you know what I mean? I could have figured that out anyway.
I know.
So
I know.
We're not talking about plans here. It happened. It is what it is, and we're still here. I know that I'm going to see him again.
Oh yeah.
So I got to be good till I do.
Yeah.
That's what keeps me away from the spite and you can grieve poorly. Mm-hmm. There's a right and a wrong way to go about handling it. You know what I mean? And I did it for a little while. Drinking every day, getting drunk every single day. Who cares? I'd started smoking cigarettes again after not smoking for a freaking decade. And it would be like, I'm looking at myself, I'm gaining weight, I'm hacking up a lung every time I wake up in the morning. And it's like, who cares? I don't want to live past 60. I don't want to go 30 years without Conley. That's the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, because
you
got to
get out
other
of that.
Kids.
And at that time, not really.
Okay.
And then the other kids come around, and it's like, holy crap, I still have, I owe these kids something. Just like I owe Conley something. I still owe him something. I owe his memory something. I owe his soul something.
Yeah.
But I also have kids. Whenever people ask me how many kids you got, I got a stepson, 2 kids on earth, 1 in heaven. I still got him.
Oh, yeah.
And I still owe him something. But I got kids that are here with me physically that need me too.
Yeah.
So you
And
got to do right.
They need you in a real physical way.
Yeah.
They need you there emotionally. They need you there physically. And if you let yourself get to a point,
it's anger and bitterness. That's what you got to avoid. You can't be angry and bitter no matter what happens to you in life. It's doing wrong to everybody who needs you. And if you're a man, people need you. You know, that's the truth of it.
oh yeah. Let me tell you, I'm right there with you. Yeah, it's a crazy thing to be a part of. You know, a community with people and parents that have lost children, and so
Beautiful people, too. Man. Every single person that I've met through the Rescyou Group is just fantastic people. You know, tomorrow's the Rescue Fest at Blackham Coliseum. It's actually also landing on Conley's birthday. And I think there's another one named Seamus, whose birthday falls tomorrow as well. They're gonna do a
that's
birthday
awesome. That's actually
celebration
kind of
for him.
cool.
But, yeah, they're going to have some, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not a big – the Rescue Fest is not a big pity party where you go and you're all sad for the kids. They're having a cook-off. Second annual cook-off. I won the first one. And so we'll be out there doing that. There's also going to be booths. Conley was really into Blippi.
Okay.
And Blippi would go on like excavators and stuff.
Yeah.
He loved that. So we got our booth as Conley's construction crew. And we have little blocks and games that they can play and all kind of other stuff.
Too bad you don't have a real escalator where they can pull the lever.
Last year we had something.
Okay.
It wasn't a real excavator. It was like a toy.
Did I say escalator? I meant excavator.
And we had gotten some little kiddie pools and those tire shreds that they put in parks.
Nice.
And we would let them dig a toy out of it. But that just made the biggest mess on earth. And I had to go back Sunday and clean it all up. So this year we're just doing kind of blog. We're going to keep it a little
There you go. Yeah, make it easy. Well, that's a good plug for the Rescue Fest. And so very similar to Maddie's Footprints, and like you know, if Rescyou is listening, she knows that very similar. It's you know, any of the events are not to be a pity party. Now there are videos and there are like things that. Because you're raising money, and you also have to convey.
If Rescyou goes up talking, get ready. You're going to cry.
Oh, yeah. You have to convey.
No offense. Shout out Rescyou. I love it.
Yeah. You have to convey the emotion to people that do not understand to some degree so that they feel compelled to support the cause.
Yeah.
Because some people, you know, they hear about this and that, but if they don't understand the story and the reason behind the company, the nonprofit, then it doesn't really resonate. But so without it being a pity party, you do have to like convey something. But you know, there's with Maddie's Footprints, we have the 5K that we do every year, and I've been doing that since 2016. Every year we go, and now that I'm a board member, I do have some obligation to be there. You know, I help you know, build up all of the tables and chairs and set everything up 5:30 in the morning on race day. But yeah, it's one of those things where all those events are good. And so yeah, going back to Pool Guardian though. Okay, so my question is, do you have like a particular pricing structure that can be mentioned here? Like, what does the average price of a fence look like?
Average price, it's right in the $2,000 range.
Okay.
You know, it's all dependent on size and where you want it, how many gates, how many entry and exits and all that stuff. But that's really all it is. I don't charge extra for having to go somewhere. I don't charge extra for if it's going to be, you know, more work. It's just basically what it costs me plus what I need to be able to go out and do another one.
There you go.
You know, and that's all it is. And we've done stuff all over the place, dude. We've done a lot in Acadiana. I've been to Baton Rouge a handful of times. I've done some all the way up in Shreveport.
Wow.
We got another one. You know, it's...
So, yeah, man, this is definitely for your company, I mean, that's a way to get people to realize they need to watch over their pool because, you know, pools, obviously, we know they're very dangerous.
And you asked about price point. Yeah. Listen, we're willing to work with people. I'm not trying to, you know, tear the money out of people's hands. Yeah. And so I made a mistake one time. And it was this guy who wanted a pool fence, but they were kind of on the fence of whether they wanted me to install it or not. So
They were on the fence about a fence?
They were on the fence with their fence. And so he was like, well, can you just bring me, it was a guy that just had like a little construction company. So he had all the tools necessary and stuff. And so he asked if I could just bring the material. I ran over everything. I printed out the instructions for him and kind of laid it out for him. And I was like, good, that's still doing it. And because it's like, it's a for-profit thing, but I'm not a profit guy. I'm like, cool, I like this. I can just hand it off to him and he'll put it up himself and everything will be well.
But he paid you for the material.
Yeah. But I did not make anything off of that.
Okay.
And so go out there, hand it over to him. A couple weeks later, his dog got into the pool.
Oh.
And he called me back and was like, hey, when can you do it? I was like, brother, I'll be there Saturday.
So he didn't even put up the fence himself?
And it's this thing of like, I find that's where I get my justification in like, I can go and I'll do this. And whenever I got my helper with me, we're most of the time in and out within 4 hours. But I can see how to some people it might be a little intimidating to go and just start drilling into their deck and start setting anchors and putting up the posts and all that stuff. And so that was kind of a wake-up point for me that I'm probably not going to be doing that anymore. We're going to be putting them up. That was a learning lesson for me because I didn't like that. I was like, you know what, cool. This guy can handle it himself and stuff. And I'm not saying that it's rocket science, but I've done enough to where I can do it quickly and well to where it's like, oh man,
Yeah. So he lingered and had an accident.
So now it's like,
So, and the fences, are they both permanent and non-permanent? Or
yeah. So how it works is we drill a little 5/8 inch hole in the ground about 4.5 inches deep, and a steel peg that's connected to the aluminum post of the fence goes into that anchor and set into the ground. But before that, we have a plastic sleeve that the steel peg sets into. Whenever you want to take your fence up, all you got to do is unhook it from the top because they're connected. It's a mesh fence that's 12 foot long each segment, and they're connected at the top to the next segment via a locking hook and loop.
Yeah.
And so you unhook them, pull them out the ground. You get these little caps that you can set over the hole in the ground that covers it up, and it'll look like there's never was a fence there.
Okay.
If you want to have some people over, and then as soon as everybody leaves, you just take it right back out and put it up.
Man, cool stuff. And I'm scrolling through your website, and I scroll down to Conley, and I see his little Blippy outfit.
Yeah, that was his 4th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. Which would have been 3 years ago tomorrow.
Dang.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah. He'd have been 7 tomorrow.
Whew. Like you
couldn't
said,
imagine.
I was going to say I couldn't imagine, but I mean I can imagine it.
But don't.
Yeah, I choose not to.
Yeah.
And I don't have a pool. I've always wanted a pool, but what deterred me from getting a pool, honestly, not even the fact that a drowning could happen, was that the maintenance of a pool.
Oh, it's some work, brother.
Yeah, so I'd rather not do that.
Yeah.
It's
some work.
Man, this is quite the company, and I really appreciate you coming by and kind of.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, and look, your wife Paige, she's helped me out a lot. Like you said, she follows the page a lot. Paige follows the page.
She's a real page turner, you know that?
Oh, dude, that's funny because your last name is Turner. That's so funny. Okay, we're just a couple of guys here, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, she's helped out a lot with some projects and some developments that I've been able to mention, and the posts have done well. So thank you, Paige, for that. Some quick facts about pools, and I don't think we talked about them yet, but a drowning can occur as little as 20 seconds, which is no time at all. It's the number 1 death in ages of 1 to 4. I think you mentioned that. The number 3 cause of death in children under 14. That's crazy because you would think a 14-year-old would be able to handle it. But even adults can drown, which is hard to think about. And then Louisiana has the highest drowning rates in the U.S. Yeah, I think you mentioned that. So, and this one, drowning is silent. That is scary.
Listen to me. like I said, I don't know how he ended up in the pool, but we were outside when it happened. That's a fact. I had not gone inside yet. God. Yeah. So and you know, to continue, let me plug one more thing.
Sure.
This I'd make not a penny off of. It costs me some time. So I'm still living in the same house.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a variety of reasons behind that. We're still in the same house. We still got the pool. We got the pool fence around it. During the summer, I host ISR lessons. It's infant survival swim lessons. And so we do that. We have a rotation of families that'll come to my house throughout the day into the evening. And the lessons are I think 15 minutes long. It's Brooke Calhoun. It's oh man, I should have looked it up. But
no, you can if you want to get on your phone right now, you want to pull it up, that's fine.
So what it is, we have a lady who comes and coaches these kids and teaches them how to. Basically, it starts off with babies. You can go in as little as 6 months and have your baby floating on their back. And as they learn and grow in that, they will learn to go all the way to jumping into the pool, coming up to the top, flipping over onto their back, flipping back over, swimming a little bit, and turning back over on their back.
Dang.
Luke was doing that before he was 2 years old.
That is wild.
So that, you know,
I've actually seen videos of kids, infants doing that, and it blows my mind. I'm like, dude, they are just. How do you train an infant like that? It's so crazy.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Obviously. I can't find the page.
That's all right.
Just look up ISR lessons. You'll find something, and if you find one that's Brooke Calhoun, that's the one that comes to my house and hosts them. So that, you know. Yeah. We're doing what we can.
Yeah.
To stop it. That's.
You know what? You say you're not super involved with the rescue group. I was getting feel like cottonmouth right there. But you are doing a lot, and you're doing your part to further prevent things like this from happening, which is great.
Yeah.
You may not be a nonprofit. You may not be some charity thing, but what you're doing is that work.
I am a person who cares.
Yeah.
And a person, you know, whatever little difference it may be or big difference, I'll let anyone else be the judge. I'm going to do what I can.
No, I mean,
I don't have a ton of resources.
You're doing the work that a charity would do, essentially, by, you know, offering, you know, some sort of resources to help prevent and to for this to not happen.
Right. Because what's the acceptable number for children drowning? You want to say 0,
yeah,
right?
I mean, of course.
Realistically, it'll never be that. But let's get a little closer.
Yeah.
You know, let's move the ball. That's what I'm trying to do.
And I think that's great, man. This is quite the podcast. I like I said, I thank you for coming on and being vulnerable like that. I can tell there was a couple of moments where I thought you were about to like.
You're not gonna catch me crying, brother.
Okay.
I don't cry in front of people. You will never see me cry.
All right, dude, I've done it. Oh. It's whenever I talk like that story that I talk about with my kid, that I have to be careful how much detail I go into because I'll just break down.
Well, I've told the story a lot of times because believe it or not, people. The most common question I get with Pool Guardian is, well, how'd you start Pool Guardian?
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, get ready because I'm about to tell you a horrible thing. And then, oh, my God. I didn't mean, and then, you know, you got people, I didn't mean to bring that up or make you think about it. It's like, I was already thinking about it.
Yeah, you think about it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to remind me.
You have a company that is centered around that very thought.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. All right, man. Well, look, I really appreciate you coming on. I think this was great. We're just a little over an hour. I think we have a few people that interacted. So I think if they are interested, if those people have pools, or if you're listening and you have a pool and it doesn't have a fence, and you're thinking about getting a fence, or maybe you wasn't thinking about getting a fence, but now you are. Pool Guardian, Pool Pool Guardian is definitely the company you're going to want to reach out to.
Yep. Whenever you reach out to us, you're going to end up talking to Paige first. She's going to get some information from you, then she'll send you over my way, and the rest will be taken care of through me. From
Awesome.
start to finish, I'll be at your house to consult with you, give you a quote, and as quick as 1 week, I can be there, and before lunch, have it up and done and out of your hair.
That's awesome. I think it's great. I love it, man. I hope you have a great weekend, and I really appreciate you sharing the story and your journey through this and your company with me and with everybody listening and watching. And I hope that you continue to be successful with it, and I think you will be, especially knowing the mission behind it.
Absolutely, brother.
All right.
And I'll see y'all at Rescue Fest tomorrow. Everybody come out.
All right.
I'm going to win the cook-off again.
Okay. What do you cook? What did you cook last time?
Smothered pork chops and fresh sausage.
There you go. Wow. So you like to cook a lot?
Oh yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah. All right. I like to cook too. We're about to get off, but side note. Your wife just commented, "Awesome podcast. Thank you, Conley."
Shout out, Paige.
There you go. She's being a true supporter.
Yeah. Get back to work.
Yeah, get back to work. Hey, send me some stuff if you got it. But going back to my little thing, side note here, and then I'll get off. I'll let you guys go. Or you can go now, whatever you want to do.
Don't go.
Huh?
No.
You're going to go? Okay.
No, them don't go.
Oh, no, don't go.
It's about to get good.
No, I'm just talking about some food real quick. Not long ago, like it's been a couple years now, but had learned how to make gumbo for the first time. You would think me being from the country, I would have already figured that out. No. As a kid, all I cared about was how to make brownies.
Really?
I wanted to make brownies, and my mom would have a box of brownies. She would show me how to make them, crack the eggs, all that good stuff, because I loved brownies. So I learned how to make brownies. I didn't really care for gumbo all that much. Rice and gravy, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I ate it because that's what was on the table, and I ate it. But as an adult, there are times where I'm like, oh my God, I am craving that rice and gravy that I missed from the country. And I'm like,
from mom.
Yeah, or my brother. My brother would even do it. And I'm like, dang, I don't know how he did it. And so one day I had called my mom and I was like, tell me a little bit of how you do this. And I learned a little bit, and she said, you got to do this, this, and that. And I'm like, okay. So, and of course there's YouTube and all these other things. So I kind of looked up some stuff, and I learned some of the basics of, browning meat and then breaking down onions. Yeah. When you break down an onion and you really just get it down, smushed and cooked over time, it creates a thick gravy.
Yeah.
Without flour.
Yeah.
And it's wild to see. But so over the past few years, I've been really practicing my gravy cooking, so to speak, and learned how to make a gumbo thanks to the Cajun Ninja.
Yeah, that I was about to say. That's who you got to go to.
Dude, the Cajun Ninja, that gumbo that he makes, and I replicate it every time. Now, the last time I made it, I did something wrong, and I don't know what I did, but it didn't come out right. But he uses a rotisserie chicken.
Right.
And I take that rotisserie chicken, break it down, use the bones and all that good stuff, and I put it in a stock on the stove, and I boil it down. And then I use jar roux.
I used to not. I used to be like, I'm going to make my own roux. Dude, It doesn't make a difference. I'm back to the jar, dude. It doesn't make a difference.
I'm in the camp that it doesn't make a difference.
No, it's oil and flour. There's nothing you can do differently about it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I think you could do differently, especially if you sold it in a jar, is how dark is it and how not dark is it. And thankfully, my favorite people to use is Carrie's, because they're out of Ville Platte, which is not far away from Turkey Creek. And I feel like their roux has just this really good flavor that doesn't feel too strong, but it's dark. They have a dark roux and they have a light roux. This is not a plug for them by any means.
No,
but I love Carrie's. And so I'll use a jar. I use about half because it's just me and my wife eating it, and we'll like to freeze it. So I'll use about a half a jar, and then take that rotisserie chicken, take the onions, the bell pepper, the celery, and the the garlic, and just cook all that down. Man, I made my first gumbo, like I said, a couple years ago, and it was amazing. And using the Cajun Ninja, I've used his recipe so much, and I almost have it memorized by heart. So I'm just in the kitchen. And the last time I did it, my wife was like, it's crazy. You don't need the video anymore. I'm like,
Right.
I don't know. I've been doing it a good bit now.
Well, it's funny you were talking about you used to make brownies and stuff. That's one thing. I've never become a baker.
Okay.
I don't do baked goods, and I think maybe one of my kids will because I'm sure they're watching. My dad cannot cook to save his life. Dude. If you would ask him to boil water, he'd be like, "What do you think I am, a chemist?" But he can barbecue. He barbecues like a trooper. He's good with that. I can also barbecue good, but I can also cook the rising graves, the stuff my mom would cook. So who knows? Maybe one of my kids will step up and get the whole roundness of being able to barbecue, cook in the kitchen, and
maybe they'll be the well-rounded one.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit of this and you got a little bit of that, and all in one package. Man. I don't want to get too started on food because I can go on for days about it. But really cool that you're in a cook-off, and I hope you win because you won last time, and I hope you win again.
Hell yeah, brother.
There you go. Well, look, man, this was a great podcast. I hope the people listening and watching got something out of it. If anything, you got some information, and maybe you got the need for a pull fence. So with that, Conley, I really thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Ben. It was great meeting you, man.
Yeah, it's good to meet you too. And obviously, your wife is listening. Thank you, Paige, for making this happen. And I hope you have a great weekend.
Roger that. God bless.
All right. You guys have a great weekend too. We'll see you in the next one. And y'all have a great weekend. I just saw a comment go through, so it distracted me. But yeah, have a great weekend. We're out. All right. You have a good one. Bye.
Peace.